For me, using the different archetypes within my own business, as I shared before, really helped me to structure my weeks and to know what is good to do and what is not good to do. Again, come and find that really sacred balance in between your masculine, between your feminine energy, between listening to yourself and still doing with what's around you.
Hello and welcome back to the Rewilded Leader podcast and today's interview with Elina. In the second part of the interview, we are gonna talk about the different business archetypes for each phase of the menstrual cycle, as well as looking at the different tasks that might be beneficial doing in each of these menstruation phases. We're going to talk about the light and the shadow of these archetypes, about masculine and feminine energy, how these archetypes can support you in your business, and what is very important is that we're also going to cover how you can practically integrate these archetypes into your business. There is the first part of this interview, and if you haven't done so far, I recommend to go and check on that first as we go through the feminine cycle, what it is all about. We're going to talk about the basic 4 archetypes and how you can let go of self-judgment and be more kind to yourself. So this is the base when we want to lead our business in connection with our feminine cycle. But if you'd say you already have a very good ground knowledge when it comes to feminine cycle, that you know about the phases, that you know about each of the archetypes and the seasons that are connected with the feminine cycle, and that you are very kind with yourself already when it comes to hormonal fluctuations, then you can also just listen to that second part of the interview, because I know you can't wait to adapt that to your business and get to know more about it. So let's dive right into it. You just mentioned before that you can also use this feminine cycle as a women entrepreneur to adapt your daily tasks in business, to how you structure your month. And that this also helps us to be more kind to ourselves as leaders, but also to planify and structure our month more easily. Would you like to go a little bit more in detail with that?
Yes, sure. So I think the best way for me to talk to you about that is to use and to maybe dive a bit more deeper into the archetypes, into the entrepreneurial archetypes or professional archetypes, and to see how they can influence you in your business and how you can embody them to best support you, also understanding their lights and their shadows. So, just to start from the beginning, I would love to share with you also what is an archetype. So, an archetype is an embodied representation of a concept or an energy that is from the collective unconscious. So, it's like a representation that enable us to understand the models that are leading us and that are around us. It carries stories, it carries strengths, it carries shadows, and being aware of these different archetypes really help to understand yourself, to understand this archetype, to observe it, to allow it also to give it space to be able to embodying it and ask for help from this archetype maybe when you need it. And the feminine archetypes have existed for centuries in different cultures. Maybe to give you a bit of an idea to help you concretely like envision what is an archetype, you can think, for example, of a nurse. Think of a nurse in your mind. What's appearing? What's coming to you? So you might have a woman, maybe in her mid 40s, in front of you, standing with like a long white coat, with a little pen and book note, maybe with some needles, a little bag. And she looks kind and she looks that she wants to take care of you. So this is an idea of what an archetype means. And we have archetypes all around us. These are just our models and the way how our mind envision picture a word of a personas, right? So this is what I'm gonna also maybe invite you each time I'm gonna be speaking of the four archetypes to let your imagination run through it. What would this archetype look like in my own mind, in my own perception? And this also might help you to better connect with it and to better see when you can ask her to be present for you and when you want to embody her. For me, using the different archetypes within my own business, yeah, as I shared before, really helped me to structure my weeks and to know what is good to do and what is not good to do. Also, I mean, here as well, inviting some feminine energy of not being super strict, of like, oh, this week I'm in my menstruation, I'm not gonna do a lot. And if I have that, I'm not gonna go there, I'm gonna cancel everything. No, this is not really the message. It's also finding that balance of what is possible within your own life, within your own capacities, and what's not possible, right? So to again come and find that really sacred balance in between your masculine, between your feminine energy, between listening to yourself and still doing with what's around you. So the first archetype that is linked with our follicular phase, so with the young girl, what I told previously, is linked with our archetypes generator in a professional way. So for me, I really think I really quote it as like a being out there girl, you know, like it's inner spring, it's the rising moon, the energy is rising up again, and hormone wise, the estrogen is kicking in, so we are feeling good, our skin is looking good, and we are ready to be out in the world again. So let your imagination run through. What does the generator, the young girl, is looking like within your own mind? Being out there girl, what is she looking like? How is she wearing? What is she sensing? What is she vibrating in terms of energy? And so, to give you maybe a bit of a guideline, that's an archetype that is very active, that is outwards, that is also efficient. This is the time of your cycle when you want to organize, make plans. Just do it. You will be supported. She has a really sharp mind. She can jump from one task to another. She's really easy with that. Like nothing really come and distract her. She's focused. So it's maybe a good time to do your finances. Also, good time to do things that you have pushed away because she was just do it. So maybe doing your finances, organize an event, plan your next cycle. She's enthusiastic and she's also confident and trustful. So if you want to build a project, if you need to work at something, maybe use that trustful energy to, okay, I'm doing it, I'm trusting in myself. It's maybe also a good time to launch a new offer, for example, host an event. It's just an invitation for you to just say, hey, I try, I dare. Maybe I fail, maybe I'm succeeding, but I'm just ready for that. And each archetypes kind of have their lights and the shadows. So here I kind of introduce you more to her lights, but I'm also going to be sharing her shadows. So when she's kind of unbalanced, the generator archetype can be doing too much because there's like kind of that rising energy. We're like, oh, wow, I have so much energy. Let's do everything. But then she's gonna be exhausted because she's just never gonna stop, and this will also has a repelling effect on the next archetypes. So this is kind of can be her shadow, to do too much or also to forget the fun part, the joy part of her entrepreneurship. So because she wants to do just so much, wants to be serious, no, I'm doing that, why are the other ones not so fast, what are they doing, I don't understand, why is this, then she kind of like, yeah, can forget the joy part of it, or be, yeah, too strict or has too many expectations from the outward. So this is the generator archetype, what's happening just after our menstruation, where the energy is rising. And this is connecting with the rising moon. The other archetype is the mother archetype that I talked to you before, linked with the full moon, our ovulation phase, our inner summer, and this is related to the communicative archetype in our own business. So, what does it mean? So, this is a perfect time to be out there fully. Yeah, I quote it as like being in the present, being open, and being a receiver. So she's really communicative. She likes to be surrounded by people. So she likes to talk also about herself, about what she's offering, and the way how she takes care of others within her work. She still has confidence, she's just shining. And she's very much connecting to her heart. She's just speaking through her heart, giving through her heart, and has a very grounded mind. So it can be like a good time to, for example, being on social media, communicate about your offers, communicate about what you're doing, looking at your values, looking at your visual identity. Who are you, and how do you show up to the world? She's also really into um, aestheticism, creation, beauty, harmonizing the beauty. So that's who she is. I don't know how she's coming into your mind right now with my explanation, but let your imagination runs through. But for me, I really see her as like I really see her in a scenario where she's in a beautiful kind of castle outside with a big long table with so many guests at her table, feasting them, feeding them, celebrating life and being like, yes, let's enjoy what have been creating, what have been building, and let's enjoy to be together. I'm nourishing you. I'm here for you, and I'm in love kind of with all of you. But her shadows can be to be too much into that giving space, to be too much into, oh, I want to give, I want to give, I want to give, and to forget herself, to put herself last, although she should always put herself first. So that she doesn't set clear boundaries, and that some people can maybe overtake those boundaries, and that she's then not respecting her anymore, her needs, her values, and is also struggling between finding that balance in between the masculine and the feminine, between giving, receiving from your accurate space. Then the next one that comes in is the wild woman, and in a business wise is the strategist, connected with the autumn and the decreasing moon. So I quote it as being the wild and wise teacher. So this is a perfect time within your business for doing assessment, to look at the past cycle, to look at all what happens, and to be like, okay, this was very good. This doesn't serve me anymore. I can let go of it. She really has that energy and that capacity of doing assessment and letting go of things. What does work? What does not work? And she really has an analytic mind. Sorry. So she's also like thinking sharply and deciding with accuracy. She also has that side that she likes to pass on knowledge. So she's the perfect archetype for teaching, for sharing with patience, for giving to other what she receives throughout the entire cycle. On her shadows, she can be quite fiery. I don't know if you noticed for yourself, but when you're about to get your menstruation, maybe in the last few days, you might be like sending people out. No, I don't want to talk with you. Yes, I know. Just don't bullshit me. Let me kind of alone. I don't want to talk too much with you. And this can create also tensions if she has like a team to work with, some collaborators or clients, just to be aware of that energy, where it's coming from, and to not create tensions too much with who she's working. It can be also that she's overwhelmed by emotions, that she's taking decisions, irrational decisions. It's also a time where she can compare a lot herself. So maybe going on social media, seeing other person doing some work and being like, oh, she's better than me, or I'm not enough. Just coming back into those inner talks. The last archetype, which is the wise woman, the menstruation phase, that is connected in business with the visionary. So I quote it as being with herself and with her intuition. It's during the new moon. It's our inner winter. And this is the time where we invite slowness. So slow over productivity. It's a very intuitive phase where we can connect with our inner world, with our intuition, connecting to the subtle, to all kind of the mysticism of life, to our unconsciousness, to our body, to our instinct. This is a perfect time in your business, for example, if you do have the capacity for it, to step back from doing, but rather be being. So to more go for slow time, meditation time, journaling, just to let kind of this mystic creativity runs for you, to allow the messages from the universe to come into you. Because here, it's a bit like through the entire cycle. If we never rest, if we never take time, the creativity will never come to you. How do you want to receive messages when you don't give time to it, to arrive, to land in yourselves? So the wise woman archetype, the wise woman phase, the visionary phase, can be a right timing for that. To be like, hey, I'm just stepping back a little bit. My body is also like ask for a lot of energy to for because of my period. So what about if I take care a bit better of myself, of my own body? So this is also a perfect time to reflect, to be in that vision, the long-term vision of what do I want to give birth into life? What kind of creativity do I want to call in? So it's really inwards, really being connecting with your inner self and allowing yourself to be and to receive. It can also be a time to ask for help because you don't have a lot of energy to do. You don't really want to be out there the whole time. So maybe it's a good time to ask for help, to think of taking a lot of breaks within your day, to constantly check in with yourself. And when it comes to her shadows, so if she's too much in that feminine energy, I would say she can be in complete inaction, so not able to do anything, which is not really what we want as well, right? But by inaction means also not letting anything coming to her. Or she can be also really neglecting with her work. I will do it later. I don't want to do it now. I don't, kind of being in that victimizing role, um, or want to be fully alone, want to be completely in her cave, want to be, oh, I don't want to see anybody. Everything becomes just too hard, that she's a bit in the too much of that side. Yeah, those are the four archetypes from a business model, right? So we do have the generator, our inner spring, the communicative, the strategist, and the visionary. And here, once again, it's about looking for you. How is it going? Are those four archetypes present within your own way of leading your business or not? Is one too much, or is one too much in his shadows? How can I rebalance it back to his gift? It's all about observing, listening, understanding, and you're gonna learn cycle after cycle. It's not about, oh, on the first cycle you have to understand everything, you have to have everything right. Not at all. Here, being in our feminine energy of like, for me, this is kind of a long life learning, I would say. Like, I mean, even if I'm in that for a few years, I'm still learning. At each cycle, I'm still learning and I will still learn. And this is what I love about it, because there's constantly things to discover, things to understand, and to redefine even more with my unique nature. Because this is applied to you, but you have to apply it to you with your inner unique way of being, your unique way of feeling, and your capacities with what you can do at that moment right now. There's nothing wrong, there's nothing right. It's just about being aware that there's something going on within yourself, that these energies are rising, going down. It's a constant dance in between your energies, in between your femininity and between your masculinity. What I didn't talk about though is that also each archetypes, feminine archetypes, is connected to a masculine archetypes, because of course we can't do it without the masculine, right? It's not about excluding completely the masculine, not at all. It's about finding that balance in between them both and make them dance together so one can support each other. So, for example, I like to see the feminine as the guides, as the creative, and the masculine energy archetypes as the support, the structure. And each archetype is going to have also a masculine archetype that's going to come to support, to make sure that, for example, the visionary doesn't go too much in her shadows. Here, the masculine archetype, which is the lover, for instance, is going to come and bring her support, bring her motivation, bring her frame. So this thought also important to me to share with you.
Thank you so much for sharing that last part. Well, everything. There was just so much knowledge in it, and especially the last part. I really appreciate that you said that there is also that masculine side. And I just want to point out that does not mean that you have to have a man next to you that take that masculine part. Just important that there is no confusion created. I'm pretty sure that everyone who's listening right now sees on one hand side that great life that they could live when they fully embody the gifts of each archetypes. And also thanks to your explanations you did, we know that we don't have to judge ourselves. We know that it's a journey, that it's about kindness and lovingly accepting and like just discovering and observing our cycle. But I'm pretty sure that there are also people asking themselves, but how can I really apply that to my business? How is it possible, or how could I do this while the ovulation phase, talking about my business and being on social media? How can I market my business when I'm only 4 days or something during a cycle on social media? So I can imagine there are also voices in the head of the listeners saying, this is beautiful and I like to imagine that, but I cannot live or I cannot lead my business out of that in a practical way. What will you say to them or recommend?
So I would say, as I said previously, that these different archetypes and the feminine will is here as a compass. So it's not about living it fully and really following it from A to B, each phase and all, but it's more as a guidance to use and to be aware of. And also, what I wanted to share is that it doesn't mean that you are in that phase that you can't do anything else. Okay, I mean that I'm in my ovulation phase, I'm gonna be communicating, I can't rest. If we make it general, right? It's not at all about that. I like to sit as well for me sometimes when I'm in my ovulation phase, for example, but I need some time to rest because I'm feeling I'm a bit like too out there. I'm calling in my visionary archetype. I'm calling in my wise woman. So it's a kind of a dance that comes together, right? And it's not about like following each week each phases. It's step by step also. Of course, right now it might also feel overwhelmed because maybe it's something very new to you, but also asking yourself questions. Why would you not be able to apply it to your business? What are the blockages? Is it limiting beliefs, or is it actually, real blockages that are here in your external world? Just ask yourself as well. It's all about intention and decisions, right? And as an entrepreneur, we have the beauty to kind of frame. I mean, this is my own belief, right? And this is the way how I lead my own business. But what I love about it is that we have the capacity to frame the way how we lead our own business, the way how it feels good for us, and the way how we want to do it, right? So yeah, to often asking you question also of like, hey, how much space do I give in my business for making assessment, for example? How much space do I give in my business for journaling and working on my visions? Am I always in the doing? um, I think it can be actually, very interesting now that I'm sharing that, to have maybe after that podcast a journal session of like reflecting of all what we shared today. How does this impact you, and what also are the beliefs that are coming from it? What are the fears? What are the reason why maybe not this is not gonna work for you? And to also really taking it step by step, right? We are born and we are raised in a model, in a societal model that is not at all kind of supporting this way. This is kind of a new way of leading your business. This is kind of a new way of connecting with your feminine energy, with your menstrual cycle. So, of course, it will take time. I mean, it took me a few years before I was like, hey, I'm able to talk about it, because I had to experience it. I had to learn from it. And it can be step by step. Hey, you can also start 1 day per week to embody that archetype. There's no right way, and it's not like, oh, I have to do it all right now. No, it takes time to also unwires our believing system, unwires our conditioning, because it's just not the way how we have been taught. And this is also not the way, the models that we have around us, depending where you're living also, right? Depending on your environment. So it's mostly about tuning inside of yourself and asking yourself, hey, is it something inspiring for me right now? Is it something that I want to experiment, that I want to dive more into it? But it does not have to be right away full on. It can be seed after seed, step after step, with what your capacities are right now, with what you are able to, regarding to what's going on in your business and what's going on in your life. And of course, regarding like the question you were asking, oh, I can only communicate 4 days of my cycle, let's say. And here is as well like not being so strict. I'm not only communicating 4 days on my cycle, but this can be the phase where I bring more attention to it. And this can be the phase where I know I will have capacity, more capacity and availability to do it. So I might be thinking, hey, this is maybe a good time to launch my offer, because I would be in the mood of like, hey, here I'm launching my offer, being more out there on social media. But this is not like a complete truth, right? This is can also come in different archetypes. Once again, it's all about you checking with yourself.
And I mean, we would when we think about that in that way, in that strict way of, okay, in the first, I don't know, 10 days, or just in the first phase, I'm going to do only this in my business. And then I'm going to talk 4 days only about marketing in my business and so on. We reinforce that masculine energy, that wounded masculine energy, in a way that we do not, that's not the aim why we connect to our feminine cycle. It's because we want to call in that feminine energy in our way of leading. Not only feminine energy, that's very important, but we mentioned it several times here that it's all about the balance. Yeah, when we allow this flow to happen and we go more in that observing and also accepting mode, but like also willing to change for the better, instead of, okay, it has to be like this and then that's its the next step and we're going to do it like that, and very just closed minded. This is yeah, this would reinforce the opposite of what we really want.
That's it.
Is there anything else you would like to share for all the fellow entrepreneurs who are listening to that episode today? Another tip or just something to give them on their journey?
Yeah, I would say maybe some more like concrete tools that they can use as well is I have created, so if they want, they can message me. I have created a moon wheel to be able to track your cycle depending on which day it is it, and just to track every day, writing also your mood, how you're feeling, where you are in your cycle, just to also start observing how is your cycle and start observing kind of the repetition every time and how you can better understanding and maybe balancing it. So this can be a tool to use at first to observe. You're really welcome to get in touch with me and I can share it with you. And that as well, it's all about experimenting, and you can find also some books out there. There are more and more women speaking about that topic, because this is, yeah, I think this is just what's going to come in the future, right? And this makes me very, very happy. But yeah, you can find like books to dive more into that. But first, very, yeah, take time to observe yourself, to look at what's going on, and you will find already the keys because you have all the resources within yourself. It's just about unlocking those resources and making space for them to be heard, to be listened, and to be seen.
Thanks for sharing that. So, for everybody who listened to that podcast, to these 2 episodes, and who say, oh my God, Elina is just crazy. I want to work with her. How people can work with you?
So we said before, I am based in Portugal. So, and as well in France. If you haven't recognized my French accent yet, here I come. And so in physical offers with my photography work, massage work, you can work with me and in Portugal and in France. So I offer branding photography for holistic entrepreneur, and I also have a very unique offers which combine massages, photography, and it's framed for women to indeed connect to their feminine energy, to their inner cyclicity, connect with their body, and also to work with the relation they have with their image and self-esteem. So these are kind of the different ways how you can work with me in person. And then if you want to know more and get more in touch with your feminine cycle, I can offer like some online mentoring. So you just reach out to me, and then we see, based on your needs, on what you would like to work on, how we can best frame that to serve you. And I would be very, very happy to be part of that journey with you. I really see all the information I shared with you has precious information that should be spread as much as possible to as many as possible women, because this is such a topic and valuable knowledge that can really, really, really help us to first change the relation to ourselves, but change the relation to one another and change the relations to the entire world. And I'm very feeling being on that mission to support, to educate, and to elevate ourselves together. So I would be very happy. Also, if you have any questions coming up, just reach out to me and I'll always be happy to answer you.
And for all of you, the first step, anyhow, is going to grab the free mini guide from Elina that shows how you can connect to the rhythm of your inner seasons. The link is in the show notes. And now I want to thank you so, so much, Elina, for coming here and sharing this wisdom and, as you just said, making that valuable wisdom available. Thank you so much for joining, and see you next time.
Thank you, Shane.
This is it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and the energy that Elina brought into these 2 episodes. If you haven't listened to the first episode and you still want to do that, maybe it's the right moment now. And if you feel that you will love to tap into that rewilded self, into that self that embodies your inner nature, then I recommend you to check out my Liberated Leader Guide. You'll find a link in the show notes. There you can, in over 30 pages, connect to your rewilded self and create the life that you're looking for. I wish you a lovely day, and let's rewild, honey.